Hello everyone, I hope you can hear me. I hope everything works fine and welcome to be here. And I'm really glad that I'm here as well. So thank you for coming and thank you for organizing this. So thank you very much for being here. Hope you enjoyed the conference so far. And thank you for joining this session. As you can see, I'm pretty prepared. So where's the camera? So that's the official gear. So experience the community. So as you can see, everything is in place, and I'll be glad to continue with the session. So okay, where's that one? Right. So, thank you for being here, and once again, big support and big thank you for the sponsors. I hope everything is okay. That the audio is okay, and then the video is okay, and thanks a lot again for the support of the sponsors, for the server supporters, contributors, and everyone, for the community as well. And in this 45 minutes, we'll be going through implementation of the Zero Trust in practice. Of course, yes, we will have a little bit of the theory as well, because the theory is important behind that practice. Especially, it's important because you have to know actually how to if you want to go in practice and do it in practice and implement the Zero Trust in practice, yes, you'll first have to know a little bit more about what it is and what it's like, where you can buy Zero Trust and so on. So what it is actually. And at the end, I would like you to take from this session very essence of it, that you walk away knowing that how can you be secure, and knowing at least a little bit tips and tricks and advice that will make your environment more secure in the future. So few things to go through. My name is Sasha, and I'm an MCT as well as an Azure MVP, and my specialties are security and Azure, and also EC Council instructor. And then, enough about me. Let's go to the Zero Trust. So what is it, Zero Trust, and actually where do I buy this? There is no actually one-stop shop, and this is no product. In fact, and the Zero Trust is actually a strategy. It's a philosophy. It's the things that we implement. It's the overall posture of the users, of the companies. And it's practically the behavior, the philosophy, and it's the modus operandi, how we work, how we implement our infrastructure, how we deal with data. So it's the general mind shift towards the security that we need to approach in these days. So we'll go quickly through these slides and to see. And to see actually what it is like. So why we are having this Zero Trust? Why we are having a Zero Trust conversation? So first of all, it's the point is to keep the attackers from the assets, or keep the assets from the attackers actually. So what's the point? The point is that in this case, the security is complex. Today, the security is not like the security was before. It is many devices that we need to deal with. It's many users. It's the many connectors. It's so it's not really the security is not no anymore in between four walls, like we would like to say. So the security is not just that we deal with the security in the building, but we also have to deal with the security in the cloud. So this is something that is not in our possession. So it's really hard to control what it's not in our possession. And then it is It is the first we had the trusted network security strategy, and then it was because the initial attacks were network based, so it was the security based on what we've had in on premises. Then this was actually seemingly simple and economical, but it wasn't. And then it was the accepted lower security with network, because it was only security within the green field, within the green area. So it is the security within our network that we have the control of. So the next thing is, as we left in the cloud, then the assets already, well, I mean that moving to the cloud, meaning we moved our infrastructure assets to the cloud. So our assets left the network. Bring your own device, work from home, whatever you call it. So mobile, software as a service, etc., Azure, Google, Amazon, whatever. So our assets are not longer in our possession. So it's very, very hard to control it. Well, depends on the provider and depends on the thing that we implemented. But generally, the things that are not under our control and that are not under on premises are harder to control than the other ones. So then attackers actually shifted to identity attacks. So phishing, credential theft is the most common today. The security teams are often overwhelmed. So why the attackers actually shifted to identity attacks? It's because the lower hanging fruit are actually we, the users. So imagine that you have two banks, and then the one bank is, let's say I'm the bad guy and I want to rob the bank. I have two banks. One bank is, or house is unprotected, with no guards, with no alarms, with no safes. And the other one has the armed guards, cameras, 24/7 surveillance, and so on. So which bank would you, or I, in this case, rob? Of course, the one that has is the lowest hanging fruit, and that's the one that is easiest to rob. So, and here as well. So the attackers are no longer attacking our assets inside, like in Azure data center, because Azure, it's really hard to break into. There is no absolutely 100% secure thing in this world. And but there is almost impossible to break in some. So what do we want to what do we need to do? What are we actually doing with zero trust here? We need to ruin the bad guys or bad people or bad girls security return on investment. So their actually return on the attack. So we have the defender return with defender investment, which is our thing that we need to follow. We have the security budget, team time, attention, and so on. And then we have the defender return. Well, we need to ruin the attacker's return on investment and raise ours. So the bad people actually have two things where we actually attack these. We have money, where we need to attack them, and then we have also the investment, and that is money, and that is actually time. So these two things, first money and second time, is what we are trying to increase in this case. So we are increasing the cost to breach us, and we are increasing the time to breach us. So there is no absolutely 100% secure system, and nor is Google, nor is Amazon, nor is Azure. But it is extremely costly, and it's extremely time consuming to break into these things. So first, for example, I'm making up things. We would need thousands or tens of thousands of PhD security professionals, and a lot of time to break into it. And most of the people don't have that time nor money, because when by the time that we get the information that we need to get from these attacks, this information would no longer be valuable. The money we put or time into getting this would not justify the actual. The cost would be bigger than the actual information cost, and so on. So, and this time, we need to attack the monetization and attack friction and cost. So the time actually is cost. So this zero trust is not actually a very new thing. It has been here for a while, but actually only here and today somewhere we are somewhere here and going forward we are hearing more and more about louder about zero trust practice. So there are few challenges and few trends in zero trust implementation. So, that we want to deal with zero trust implementation. So the attackers actually are using the identity to bypass network controls, because the identity here today is the lowest hanging fruit. Why? Because it's easier to phish people. We've seen the great session that was running at 10 about phishing, and then it is easier to write a phishing email and to attack identities. That means us persons, and to extract information and get to the information through people, then through attacking the assets. So we people are susceptible to social engineering. We are humans. We make mistakes, and that's where the lowest hanging fruit is. That's where the bad people actually try to go. So they're not attacking anymore on assets. They don't attack the networks. So I don't know. You might remember the ISA Internet Security and Acceleration Server 2000, 2004, and 6, and Threat Management Gateway, and so on. These were great products, and at that time. But when Microsoft decided to abruptly stop their development, everybody, the community around the world, actually got up on their feet and say, what you're doing, you're crazy. These are great products and so on. Yes, but for protecting the network, for protecting the four walls, the assets between them. But these products are practically useless in today's scenario. So now you can see after 10 years that Microsoft had right, because they had insight of what the attacks are going to be. So attackers are not attacking the on-prem assets, but they are attacking us, so users and people. So attackers are using identities to bypass network controls, and phishing. We mentioned this great session. If you, I suggest that you look at the one that was running at 11. And passwords aren't enough to protect identities anymore. So single-factor authentication without context is not enough, and identities are being used outside network. So if you get one identity, then you probably got all the data, all the identities, and everything else. So it's you have to keep in mind that bad people, when they are attacking, they just need one successful attempt, and that's it. They just have to be right at the right time, at the right moment, just once to break in. And we, as protectors, as defenders of our assets, we need to be right all the time. And 1 million times out of million times, we have to be right. We have to be right and protect 24/7 and so on. So our job is really, really harder than the attackers. So zero trust principles are actually very simple. Verify explicitly, and there is the need to authenticate and always authorize based on all available data points. So the point is, we need to we assume that no data request access is or whatever access request is valid or is trustworthy, or we need to verify on every step. So we are authenticating and authorizing based on all available data points, including user identity, device health, data classification, and location and anomalies and everything. So we need to implement just-in-time or just-enough administration, so minimizing user access, and also to assume breach. So first, if you remember 10, 15 years ago, we had the protection scheme where we actually had a firewall, and then after we got inside the firewall, inside our network, everything that we did was legitimate. So there were no actually mechanisms that will test if our request is valid. So, for example, access control lists are actually nothing here, because the access control list is just a tool, and it's not a mechanism that actually is actively that can actually tell us whether the request for that data is legitimate or not. So if you have a password, if you have username, then you are supposed to be the legitimate users, but you don't have to be. That can be also the credential that has leaked. So that's the problem in today's world, because we don't trust this request anymore, and we evaluate them even if the system has the appropriate username and password. So we are following the request. So one simple information, and then in fact one very interesting one is that most attackers actually have a supply chain. And what it is actually, it is a business model, and these attackers actually have these attackers actually have very good business evolved. So a few years ago, there was also a very simple headline across the U.S. news that the pupil of a high school, I think it was a high school, yes, that paid a few $1,000s to actually execute for someone to execute a DDoS attack on his school or her school. I don't remember whether it was female or male, and because of the bad grades. The point is, any kiddo, any person that has zero knowledge but enough money can actually perform a successful attack. You don't have to have actually knowledge today to do harm and to steal anything, because these criminals actually have a service level agreement. Believe it or not, if you go on Deep Network, or if you follow if you browse the Tor, the deep web or dark web, then you can actually see that, for example, out of the 10 millions of emails that they're claiming to successfully send, the 10% will be delivered, and 1% will be actually open, and 0.1% will be actually monetized. So they're actually giving you even the support 24/7, believe it or not. And so today it's not even it. What I want to say, it's even easier to do bad things and to suffer and to be to actually suffer from a security breach and to be breached into. So we have to really think about what we do. Zero trust access control strategy. There is the one slogan that is never trust and always verify. That's the very important one. It's based on the three things. It's based on the signals, on decisions, and on the enforcement. And also the signal is here to make an informed decision about what is going on based on device risk or user risk. Then there's the decision based on these signals that we are making. So we are allowing or disallowing something to go in or accessing person or device, and then we are enforcing across the products. These what we actually did. So there is a zero trust model. There's the overview of the zero trust model of the Microsoft, for example. So, well, this is not the Microsoft, but actually the general one. So there is user risk, there is device risk, there's the security policy engines, and there is the assets that we are protecting. So there are signals, there are decisions that are based on the policy, and then there's the enforcement of policy across all the resources. Whether it's these are documents, apps, protocols, legacy or networking or whatever it is. So we need to monitor each and every step. So in the Microsoft world, for example, there is also very important product and feature that is the conditional access. We will say a little bit more about it as well. So the conditional access here, zero trust model, is applied here to user access to users via Microsoft conditional access that is actually built into the Azure Active Directory and across all the products. So we have here the multi-factor authentication and all the users threat signals. These signals are identified, and the decision is made. Then each and every step and each and every product, or each and every segment of the information is protected differently. So it is very, very important that you get a grasp of what conditional access is, because there are conditions that are evaluated all over the ecosystem. Then there's the actually machine learning real-time evaluation engine policies, and this is even not right, because it's 180 terabyte and plus of signals that are here to help us, and that Microsoft processes to know about whether your request is legitimate or not. So we are then, based on these risks, we are enforcing controls, allowing blocking access, requiring MFA, requiring password reset, and so on. So first, when we had our network request, when we had our user requesting something inside the network, there was no product that would actually could tell us whether this request is legitimate or not. As long as the user had username and password, it was trusted. It was presumed that it was legitimate. But for example, today you have possibilities to identify users based on zero trust policies that we implemented, and tell whether the request is legitimate or not. So, for example, if the user is requesting the data during the work day, let's say from 8 to 4, and suddenly the user requests the data on Saturday or at Sunday, for example, at 2 in the morning. So before, there were no actually mechanisms that will alert us of any kind of activity like this. But today we have something that can actually alert us, and we can then, based on the zero trust, based on the conditional access, then we have the possibilities to control this behavior. So before, the typical time between when the breach happened, when the data was extracted, and when the users or companies actually were aware of that, was between 150 and 250 days. And by that time, you lost your business, you lost your data, you lost the money. But today, this time is smaller and smaller because of the zero trust, because of the mechanisms that we have in place. And this is not just Azure AD conditional access, but it's but others as well. So typical statistics here are that the users reuse accounts, the passwords are leaked, the data breaches are expensive, and actually passwords generate tons of support calls. So everything is costly here. So reuse credential, actually 62% of users admit reuse of passwords, and at least 16 or 20% actually attacks via password spray are breached. And believe it or not, before 2 years, the official information was that only 5% of the administrator used MFA. So thank you, Microsoft, that today the MFA is free, and multi-factor authentication prevents 99% of identity attacks. So this should be number one in zero trust implementation. Ways to enable MFA is conditional access, which is very, very important and the preferred method. Then there is the security defaults, which is the security defaults in Azure, and actually enables MFA for all users. That's okay, but it's recommended primarily for small businesses, but not for the biggest, and for the most. And per user account is actually the legacy way of enabling MFA, which is not recommended. So this is the most recommended approach to do that. And there's even better elimination of passwords, which is actually passwordless authentication, so which is also important and available. Here we have Microsoft Authenticator, we have Windows Hello for Business, we have pins, we have keys. So why are the pins? You would say, how is the pin more secure than my password? Because it's tied to that physical device. So if someone steals your pin, this person can do nothing with it except logging onto the current device, which is in your possession, I presume. So, but if the person steals your password, then it can log on even from his own or her own home. So passwordless authentication is good, and Microsoft is transitioning and has already transitioned mostly to the passwordless authentication. Not only Microsoft, but other companies as well. I suggest that you do this as well. Eliminating password from identity directory is actually something that we strive to, but we are far from there. We have FIDO keys providers that are supported in here in Active Directory or not. In Microsoft Azure Active Directory, there are some providers, Ubiquitation and so on, Gemalto, etc., etc. You have the old information online as well, but I will just show you quickly a few of them. And the Ubiquitation keys, the latest generation 5. Then there's the Fashion, Bluetooth, NFC, and etc., etc. Fingerprint, and Ubiquitation also will present the fingerprint also. FIDO key, and there's the WM Trust Key Solution, former one, and so on. And before we actually go there, let's go quickly and see the actual implementation of that. So how do we enable the passwordless authentication? So let's go in here and let's go to the where's the Active Directory? Azure Active Directory. I hope you see that. I see the screen a little bit cropped, but I'm not sure if you can see that as well. But you see the center, which is very, very important. And there you go. So there's the security. And under security, there's the authentication methods that you need to click on. And under the authentication methods, then you have FIDO security key, Microsoft Authenticator, which are the two methods. I will click just the first one, and then there it is. So the FIDO2 security keys, you need first to enable them and target the specific users or all users, whatever you want. You can also use the key restriction policies. If your company has the specific requirements for using these specific keys, you can then filter and just require specific keys to be used. And then after that, of course, you have to click save, otherwise it won't work. I will switch to this one instead. And after you've done that, and then so you've gone to the Azure Active Directory, you've switched to the security, and then you turn on the authentication methods. And after that, you can go and click your view account, and then enroll the key. After that, on view account, let's go quickly and under the security info here. Where is that one? Yes, security info. Here it is. So I need to stretch a little bit this window, and just in case that you don't see a whole one. So security info, and there it is. So you can add the method. I have already added the security here, and then you can add the method. You can use the Authenticator app. you can use the security key, and once you use that, click add, and then just add one. You need to sign in with a two-factor authentication, perform an MFA challenge, and that's it. And then after that, you will be able to sign in with the passwordless authentication. You just need to touch physically the key without ever typing the key. And even if you don't have the possibility to use the passwordless authentication, these keys now have the possibility to store the password or multiple passwords on them, so they emulate typing. And when you touch key physically, when you physically touch the key that you inserted into the USB-A or USB-C port, then these keys just type the most complex password that you set up in here, and then and enter it in the whatever dialogue that it is. Of course, the first thing, you don't have to remember very complex passwords. You don't have to type this very complex password, and then you don't have to actually worry about anyone watching you over your shoulders, typing for password, and so on. So you can even have multiple keys, multiple passwords, very complex one that are auto-generated that you can forget, and then you don't have to type these passwords anymore again. So even if there is no support for FIDO key, I suggest you to just go in and go grab these keys there. The most expensive one is like €50 or €40, which is nonsense price for the security that they'll bring. And then there is the also. Is this just me, or do I see that flipped? And if I see that flipped, just a quick flip horizontal, and I can see that now it's okay. All right. So. Okay, I've seen the message that the screen is mirrored, but I've not. I don't know if the screen is mirrored now or it was before. So okay. And all right. So the screen is it's not okay. All right. So is the screen okay now? Okay, so it was during the demo as well. All right, and just a second. So now it's supposed to be okay? No? And now, so now is. Okay, so now it's okay. Okay. Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. So, all right. So let's go back here. All right. So I need to see that. And can you just confirm quickly in the chat if this screen is okay? All right. Perfect. Sorry about that. All right. I hope it's not. It wasn't flipped. Okay. All right. Right. Reverse now again. Okay, I actually don't know what happened here. I don't know if this thing resets itself or... Okay. Okay, sorry. All right, there was confusion because of the delay. Sorry about it. Okay. So now it's fine. Okay. All right. Perfect. Sorry. Sorry about it. Okay, and then this one is going to be flipped as well, and this one is going to be like this one is okay. So the screen of the browser should be okay now. Okay, all right. Perfect. So quickly, and let's go once again quickly on the on this portal and Azure, and so I hope this is this was okay. I was in the presentation. I haven't seen the chat window because I have 3 monitors and 5,000 windows on it. And all right, so Azure Active Directory quickly, and security, and then there's the authentication methods because we have here, okay, not enough time. Find the 2 security keys, enable these, and then when you enable these, then you go to the account. Of course, you will do that through the conditional access, and then once you've done that, then there's the security info, and then there is the Microsoft Authenticator security key, and you can add that method in an Authenticator app, so the or security key as well. So this was the first thing, and then the other thing that we need to do is also go to the portal and implement that through the conditional access. So conditional access is set up here under the security as well, because I was confused because I'm looking at the streaming on the website as well, and I see the streaming on the website flipped, but on my screen is right. Okay, so I thought it was also for you, since I see I'm seeing it directly in the browser. So I was thinking that is that if I see that, then everybody sees that way as well. The conditional access here is also available, and what I need to do, what actually you need to do is to implement the new policy. So, for example, the new policy is here under conditional access that will bring you the MFA here, and would be like this. So the assignments are first here, and then the access controls. Based on the assignments and the users groups, we are defining the users to which these conditional access policy will apply. Take a look at these. Take a look at these policies and follow them, especially in the long term, because these are changing. And for the best, so the features are being added, and we can include or exclude users here. If, of course, having multiple conditional access policies are actually is good, because we can have multiple we can have an conditional access policy for the user, for the administrators, for specific users, and so on. So once we've developed decided to which users these apply, then this policy also will apply to the specific applications or actions. So we can include all cloud apps or select apps. For example, if we want to control, let's say, access to the portal, and define how can we actually define the conditions to access the Azure portal, then we have the possibility to use that as well. And after that, then you can set up the conditions under which these assignments work. So we can specify the user risk, we can specify the sign-in risk, the device risk, and the locations to which these apply, and also the device state to which these apply. And after we did that, we have the access controls that we define. That means we are either blocking the access, or we are granting the access required based on these actions. And of course, we are specifying also the conditions of the session, and which is also very important. The enablement of the policy is also one thing that is very, very important. So we have three things here. The policy will be created but not active, and the policy will be created and active, and the policy will be created and reporting only, and not enforcing any actions here. So what does it mean? It's also very important that we first test these actions, and for the specific reasons that we might, for example, lock ourselves out, or produce some unnecessary or unwanted results. So we need to first, it's the recommendation is that you select report only, and then that you report only on these actions of the conditional access policies that you applied, and then see the policies that are actually in force here. Insights and reporting can actually give you the insight of what happened. I'm really sorry that was happened. I will, if there is time and if there's some a free slot, I will gladly redeliver this one, and let me contact the organizers and see what can be done. I deeply apologize about these misunderstandings, and about these flip screens. So enjoy the rest of the conference. Sorry once again about these and so thank you again, and enjoy the rest of the conference.